So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Everybody's okay with it, I will give the invocation. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of Sumner County. We ask that everything that is said tonight is done well-meaning and in a genteel fashion. And we ask you to be in our thoughts as we move forward with this schedule. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to remove item 9E. I didn't get all my ducks in a row with everything that happened last week and up to today. And so I will postpone that until next month, if that's okay with everybody. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. I have no report from the chair. I'm sure we have a report from the county mayor.
Yes, sir. We had some damage from the storms. Fortunately, we are, the main building here, we're going to be able to fix that ourselves. Talked with the maintenance guys. They have rented a boom and are able to get that. And when I say fix it, it's non-permanent, but it will keep it dry. Because, you know, this group is one of them that we're discussing for next year. So I don't want to put a lot of money into it, I just want to make sure that it's dry. Archives had some damage over there, same thing, we were able to fix it internally. The jail is a little different story. I think Sheriff talked about it earlier, Chief Deputy talked about it earlier, and we were able to get a company out there. They got out there within about 20 minutes. And reviewed it, and since it was dry, we determined, and the wind was still blowing, we determined coming the next day would be better. And so they came out there and they got that. It's dry, but again, it's a temporary fix. So it was the cheapest route we could go at the time to get everything shored up, because again, that's another route that we're looking at fixing right now. So that's where we are with the buildings. We're still looking, still checking. Fortunately, nothing major. We didn't have any trees fall on anything or anything like that. So we were blessed in that regard. And the rest of the stuff, if you don't mind, I can weigh in as the items.
Okay. If I could ask you specifically with those three buildings, it looked like the archive building lost vinyl siding on the lid of going in, but the roof was okay?
Yeah, the roof was okay. We haven't seen, I don't think we've seen any major leaks. Yeah.
Good.
So, there weren't any reported to me. So.
And this roof here, where did we see the leaks?
It was on the front, Jeff, it's on this front corner, right?
David Lawing's area?
No.
Oh, no?
No.
Ours.
It's over, yeah.
Okay.
And
those are new leaks?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a hole in the ridge cap about 18 inches long.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it actually blew a section of the ridge cap off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to patch that.
Eric Craddock sent me pictures of the jail. That was monumental.
Yeah.
What are the remedial repairs that you did? I haven't been.
Well, we were able to get the membrane back on there and secure it.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they worked on that. I think the bill was like $2,900.
Oh, great.
And so they got it secured. It's going to be dry until we go through all the motions.
Okay. And you're going to bid that out.
With that particular roof, yes, after talking with auditors, we got to go through the structural engineer process. We're trying to expedite that as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get that report, I'll bring that report to General Ops, and we talk about our options.
Okay.
Once we get that report.
Did we lose a lot of foam insulation on that roof? No,
I don't think so.
It stayed good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks for that.
absolutely.
Okay. We have no recognition of the public, no old business. So, the new business, the Election Commission has requested an audience with us, and so I wanted to give them the opportunity.
Lori Ashley, Administrator of Elections. Back before you regarding our move, we're requesting that you guys approve our move that we started in 2020 to the TRC building. This is, I believe, the third time we've been before you, so we're just, it's March, our machines are somewhere, but they're coming, so we just need some kind of resolution and conclusion.
Okay. Ms. Ashley has requested that we approve a move to TRC. Can we have a motion that we...
Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss, second? Anybody? Oh, Tim, okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. I'll go ahead and speak to this. General operations in various groupings has spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks trying to assess the space we have available and the logistics of who needs to be near who. And I really feel at a disadvantage as general operations because although we do assist the mayor in determining who goes where and how to maintain the buildings now and moving forward, there are the legislative committee, there is budget committee, and ultimately the commission. And in talking to many of the commissioners, we're not set as a commission on moving the Elections Commission to the TRC building for several reasons, but probably the primary one is the commission is still trying to determine what we're going to do about early voting in the future. So at this point, I feel like if we were to vote and even approve at this table a move to the TRC building, it would probably go to budget next and probably fail. We can try it. But in assessing their office, a more organized, neater, compact, efficient office I don't know I've seen in the county administrative building. And going through the basement this morning, they've got at least 1,000 square feet to store machines down there under secure conditions, and we've already approved the camera. And a little further down, we're going to talk about the maintenance department, moving them to the TRC. And that will open up even more space for the machines. So, as we consider and discuss this issue, I just know that those are the facts as I understand them. And I don't think there's any bias there. I think it's just facts are facts. So, would anybody else like to speak to it? Mr. Wick.
You mentioned about groups of the Gen Ops Committee doing something?
Yeah. It pretty much started as Mr. Hyde and myself, and we've just, as time has been available, we have met and driven out to various buildings. For instance, the Children Are People building that the judge was asked to look at, we ran out there. We've been here and looked at different areas. We've been over to the archive building, we've looked at areas, and we've been to the TRC. And we spent a little bit of time at the EMS building, just to understand what we have available to ourselves. And we really have not come to any conclusions in any way, shape, or form. We just wanted to be knowledgeable of what we had available to us.
Okay, yeah, and I respect that, because I'm sitting here as a member of the Gen Ops Committee, and it's like, when did these events take place? And any kind of notice, addresses, anything would have been helpful for other committees.
Yeah, they've been very ad hoc in nature, like, because I have certain days off during the week, so does Mr. Hyde. But I know you don't, I know Tim doesn't, I know Don doesn't. And so, if we want to do a Saturday tour, I'm happy to do it, but because of the urgency that Ms. Ashley has been talking about, we thought, well, you know what, we'll do what we can and then report back to the committee. Exclude anybody from
No, I'm
anything.
just putting it out there, it would be helpful if everybody just had the same information.
Yeah, and hopefully you do. And if you don't, ask anything, and then I will tell you, anything about any building that we've frequented.
Okay, not doing that.
Okay.
So then, with the maintenance committee petition within the TRC, you mentioned there'd be additional space open up. Is that their current location where the maintenance?
No, currently they're in the basement.
I understand that, but you're talking about there would be extra room open up for voting machine storage. Are you referring to the maintenance area today?
Yes, the maintenance area today. If we approve item D to move maintenance over to TRC, that will free up another 500-600 square feet.
So are we going to have to invest something to make that a secure area? Because that is, it's a mechanical room, right?
Yeah, and we don't even know that they need it. Depending on how they store the machines in there, it's about 550 square feet. And so what they have is over 1,000 in the other half that they've had heretofore. So if they needed more, we could talk about securing that area once the maintenance guys have vacated.
Okay. And last month we talked about, is this like floor plans or?
We haven't done that yet because we haven't made a decision at this level, which is where we're at right now, or we will be tonight, regarding maintenance and regarding election commission. So that would be the next move, is a floor plan, a budget, and something that we can hand as a package to the budget committee for their approval, so they don't have to do a bunch of work.
Okay. I'm just trying to go off of recollection, but I thought there was already a floor plan.
There was a floor plan concept created by the engineer up on the second floor. I don't think that's exact. There wasn't a lot of communication with the guys who are going to inhabit that area. And so we've been discussing with the maintenance guys what they really need, what they really want. They're very efficient in their thinking and their needs, and so they won't take excessive amounts of the building, but they have trailers, they have equipment, they move in and out, and there will be requirements for them, and they need a little bit more equipment to carry out.
Gotcha. What's the determined amount of square footage that maintenance is going to need? Maintenance?
Isn't that item C?
Yeah, you know what, that's her point as well. Hey, we can discuss that in detail.
We can hold it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to
No, that's
rabbit trail.
one last question.
Okay.
What is the total square footage of the TRC building?
It's about, John, is it 17 or 18,000?
It's right around 17, 18,000. I can't remember the exact amount.
Yeah, I haven't seen a plan, so I don't know exactly. I haven't taken
It
it.
may be a little bit more than that. So I know the back section was like 6,500 square feet.
Yeah.
And the middle section's bigger than
It's
that.
about 9, I think,
Yeah.
and I don't know what the front is. So it's a big building. Yeah.
So, down the same line of questioning, have we determined how much square feet that the election commission needs? I know they're asking for what they would like to have, but as far as storage and ability to train and to have their machines set up the way they want with their walkways, tables, things like that, have we determined that amount of space?
The only thing I know, and just actually correct me if I'm wrong, but we had this drawing that looked like it was about 2,550 square feet.
2683.
2683 is what you need for the machines alone.
Yes, sir.
And do you know what you inhabit over here in your offices currently?
Just the office space upstairs?
Yeah.
Probably about 2,700, 2,800 square feet.
Okay. All right, so,
My question is total working space for storage and for training and for their home.
yeah, well, 2580? 2683. So that's roughly 5,400 is what I think they're asking.
But that's-
At a bare minimum.
So that's,
They would like room to grow as well.
but that gives them room to grow because the previous machines are going to be stored there until they are gone, and then that's going to be vacant space. I know they have to stay there, they're lock and key, secured, and everything, until those machines are gone.
You're right.
So that gives them room to grow once those machines are gone. It may be, usable until that point, is that correct?
I think so.
Those machines we have now are in one room, and they're
Right.
stacked about 10 or 12 high. We can't stack, they're not supposed to be stacked that high.
Okay.
The maximum's 3 to 4, but since we're going to be disposing of them, we wanted to put them in that room, we did that, but that's only going to free up that one room.
Right.
The new ones are 54 pounds and have to be stacked vertically.
Vertically.
Right, because they're so heavy.
So how much square feet is that room that the old machines are stacked in?
They're already there.
How many square feet is that? No. So the old machines are at TRC already?
Yes, sir. When the building flooded on Christmas Eve, Mary asked us to go ahead and move them because they had to take the carpet out of the basement.
So where they were is empty right now?
Mayor,
Yes.
How many square
That's the rooms that...
Okay, that's the basement.
How many square feet is
It's
that?
almost 1,000.
but Tim, we could stack those 3 shelves high. So we had 3 rows all the way around, 2 complete rooms. We can't stack these at all because they're
Right.
54 pounds, and you can't lift 54 pounds from above your shoulders.
Yeah, I understand the argument for all. I know they're like Pelican cases and they can be stacked because it's the nature of the case, but, you don't have to lift 54 pounds to pick something up that has a handle on one end and wheels on the other. You can tilt them and pick up half that weight and set it there. There's argument to be said for that. I understand. We want to give you as much space as possible.
I was just saying you couldn't put them on a second shelf, was all I was saying.
Yeah, they could stack on top of each other.
They cannot be stacked.
In the pictures I saw on there,
Well, that's what the manufacturer's specifications were.
you also stated that they had to remain in the vertical position,
They're on wheels, yes, sir.
yet to use them, you have to put them in a horizontal position, so that doesn't really hold water.
Just one at a time. To open it up and access the machine in the future.
Yeah, like I said, their Pelican cases, they're very robust. I'd have to see that to believe that statement.
Is there any way we can see one?
I can have the microphone, they have a demo machine, they've shown it does several times. I could bring, have him come by and bring you one of those.
I think that would be really helpful, because I don't understand the whole process of lining them up the way the drawing shows, and if I could understand it better.
If we get back to my point, the line of questioning is that we have space, we have 1,000 extra square feet that the old machines, when they're gone, will be extra space.
So those machines are already gone. The basement where they were stored is vacant. They're in a 30 by, or looks like a 20 by, maybe 14 by 20 foot room right now, the old ones are. That sounds about right?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the drawing.
And again, they're stacked beyond the manufacturer recommendation.
Right. And
But we wanted them secure, so we've got cameras in that room, and we stacked them in there. And we'll only keep those till we get the new ones, get those operational, then we're working on how to dispose of those properly.
Okay.
So what they're asking for is 5,500 square feet.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
And what we have at this building is how much?
It's, right now, at this minute, it's about 1,000.
And with the maintenance room, added another 500, 600.
Yeah, the word cemetery.
We think the other word. I know,
Yeah, okay, you've never met. Yeah, it's gotta be at least 500 more feet. And then, of course, you've got your you think 2,700 up here in the up, so we're not there, but we're close. And here again, I'm still not sure why this over 5,000 feet is necessary to put them in that configuration, but I think when you get that demo, I'll understand that.
Yes, sir. The concept was to put them all around the walls,
Mhm.
and then to put the tables down where we could just take the machines up, just like Tim said, pop them up on the table, open them up, program the machines, put them back in, put them back in their place. And we would do it right there within that secure room.
And we do that one at a time.
Well, well, now downstairs, we can do them 4 at a time, but they're much smaller, much more compact. So we would probably do, if we did 4 at a time on these, it would take up twice as much room.
How much manpower do you have to set them up? What is the most you can do at any given time?
Right now, the most we can do is 4.
4, okay.
If we get this set up, we can do 8.
Okay. All right.
So there may be question of machines down there, but it's definitive if that floor plan is preferred, or if it's actually what they actually need. And that'll help once we see the machines. But 17,500 square feet is definitely not what they need, not what they're asking for. Are we going to make a decision on where they end up tonight?
Well, at some point in the commission, we'll make that decision.
But we have to suggest it, to send it up.
Yeah, the best we can do is either send it forward or have them stay where they're at. And I don't know that we're in a position to send it forward, because there are things that are still being discussed and determined by the commission. I don't know, frankly, I don't know how to resolve it.
It sounds like to me that we're prioritizing what we do with the maintenance. It's like a given. We know that building's going down, and if there's any space, what else can we do with the building? So the priority's on the maintenance, so this is definitely on the pause, and should not even be discussed until we iron that out.
Yeah, like I say,
We don't know what extra we have until that maintenance.
in respect to the election commission, I wanted to grant their request to address us. And, we are in a bit of a dilemma. Hang on a second, Wes. Devin, go ahead.
Okay, so this drawing,
Mhm.
the way that I understand it is drawn with the best case scenario, we have unlimited space that we can work with, and living our best life, that's what it would be. Am I understanding that?
That's optimum for the election.
Well, when we originally were going to the TRC, the back room that maintenance is now taking was going to be the secure machine room. So now that we're not going to have that area, that's going to require a secure machine room to be built within the warehouse section. So when we started, that was not going to be necessary.
So that could be altered and made to fit whatever we kind of come up with, or...
Yeah, and this is a room within a room that will require, you know, as she said, security. And that would have been required in the back, because that back area is 6,000 square feet, and they need less than half of that.
So I was just thinking that that is the best case, that is just the best case with unlimited space. And so there's room to make that realized.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'd like to make a motion just to table this until after we talk about the main decks, and let's come back to this once we have our maintenance, our second one.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's move forward to item B then. Mayor, this is in your court. Last month, you had talked about hoping to get all of the machines from Comfort, and I was requesting maintenance files on each of those units, so the floor is yours.
And, maintenance file right here.
Great.
These are all prior to my administration. All of the new ones are on that drive, the work order drive that y'all have access to, so we're adding it every month. But these are the old ones. We had a question about the, what was it? Two types of condensers.
Well, there's split systems.
No, compressors, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Compressors. He did not have that breakdown,
Okay.
so that's not available. And then he is sending me the jail and general sessions.
Okay.
Those are left. Jail and courthouse are left.
So do we have a complete list? Because I've driven out and looked at most of, or all the ones that were on your last list, I've seen personally.
Right. And then I'll add, as soon as he sends me the work reports on those, I'll add it to that list and I'll send it back out to you.
Okay, great.
And I'll highlight those so you'll know that those are the new ones.
Okay, do we have access to the new ordering system?
The what?
The information,
Yeah, the drive.
the drive.
Yeah, we sent that out a while back where you were seeing all the daily maintenance work orders.
I didn't get it either, I don't believe. Did you? Yeah.
Let me check on that again. I thought that was sent out by my administration, so I'll double check with them.
Tim? No? How about Terry? Okay.
Terry sees them every day anyway.
And
But I apologize, I thought that was sent out to you.
yeah, no.
I was gonna ask you if y'all were looking at it. So I remember you
Terry, a fine job on the room. Thank you. And I can't believe you got it done as fast as you did. Terry painted this whole thing today. And got the frames back up, so.
So, on that vein, I apologize. I've got a quote for the chiller
Okay.
for the administration building, and it's $277,922. I can take that out of my capital projects and get that ordered now. As of now, it has a lead time of 40 weeks. And we're playing with fire, waiting. When it goes out, I don't know. I can't sit here and tell you it's gonna be out in 6 weeks, and, I just don't know.
What did you say the quote was?
$277,922. And we've got the money in capital projects, at least to get that part done, and that would knock it off of the HVAC program. But I would like for y'all to entertain passing that on to Budget Committee for their consideration.
Tim?
Did we ever ask the question to the comfort group that I proposed, I think it was last month or the month before, about possible repairs for what if it does break?
No, they can always try to patch it, but they said this thing's at end of life. I mean, they've worked on it.
So you do...
Well, maybe it depends on what goes out.
So you do have maintenance records on that chiller, on that?
I can ask, I'm sure they're in here.
They're in here?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't open this up for discussion. My default.
I'll make a motion to approve this, move forward with the chiller. And then we can discuss it.
Okay,
So,
do we have a second? Second, okay. I agree with you, Tim. That's a big piece of equipment, and it's got to have replaceable parts. I understand what the comfort group is saying. I'm just wondering if we should get a second opinion on that to see if it's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Yeah.
My question that I wanted to ask last month was, the worst part about it, whatever the feature is on it, whatever the component is, the worst thing about it that could break, if repaired, would it last a year? Would it last 6 months? Would it make it for that window of however long this supply chain issue is, whether it be 40 weeks, 52 weeks, whatever? I want that question asked, and then just so I don't like feeling rushed and pressed into purchases.
Yeah.
I like to look at things like, we can repair it, then it probably last another year. You may have to repair it twice, but they'll last 6 months each. If we can repair, and we see the maintenance record says that we've already done that, until we're blue in the face, I don't put a lot of faith in end-of-life statements by manufacturers. Like I said, I just replaced my air conditioner 2 years ago in 1984. And the guy said, this should have died 10 years ago. I can't believe it's still running. This should have, not made it past, the early 2000s or whatever. So those are just general statements made by manufacturers. It doesn't mean they're going to die tomorrow. They're
Right.
good.
Right.
That's why I want that question asked. We may have
The maintenance file will probably tell us a lot.
And it might be the it's not only the manufacturer, the technician coming out to a residential or commercial building, depending on what the age of that equipment is, their opinions may differ from one company to another, but they pretty much should, jive with each other within a year or two, though, on that kind of stuff.
Commissioner Wynn?
yeah, that's a question for the mayor. Are we gonna bid this out, or is that just?
Oh, yeah, no, this is just a number to run, to at least work with.
So that
It would be the highest bid, unless something comes in.
I don't see personally, I don't see a problem with moving it to budget committee while we do our due diligence as general operations.
if they approve it.
Because, as you said, it's a 40-week lead time. We're not going to buy that thing tomorrow, because, John, once we've committed, we're committed, I'm assuming. Once we've ordered it, it's a done deal.
I would think so, I mean,
Yeah, there may be a few months we can backpedal on it, but,
I agree with Tim, though. What if you spend $280,000 and then the thing lasts for another 10 years? So then you're sitting there with $280,000.
that's why I think we need at least a second opinion. Tim, you're a really mechanical guy. I'd be happy to go down and climb around that thing and look with you. And then if we need to get a manufacturer's rep of that chiller out to really get it once over, because the comfort group, they're an installer, they're not a manufacturer. The chiller is made by a manufacturer.
I'm mechanically inclined, but chillers are not my expertise. I want to know what the main component of one that will fail, and if we fixed that main component that they said could fail 6 times in the last 4 years, then I would agree with the mayor. But if we have not identified that yet, I don't like going by manufacturer suggested lifespans. Because that's just throwing money out the west, over $250,000.
John, it's 35 years old, 35 years.
this unit's gone out every summer, and some summers we've got it fixed quicker, some summers it hasn't been so quick. But it's gone out every year since I've been here. It's over 20 years.
Sounds like.
So,
I
but, I mean, we can keep on nickel and diming it and, you know, try to push it out another year.
No, I don't want to.
So that's fine.
So, I'm 35 years old, I mean, that's, you know, maybe that's on its last.
One question for clarity, so was the manufacturer says it end of life, or was it the service?
Well, it's a service, they're saying, you know, we just can't fix it.
Gotcha.
You know, we're running out of opportunities to fix it.
Our service company is saying that it's at end of life, and it's not like there was just a manufacturer number that this is
No.
30
No.
years, and, okay.
Well, in light of that, then, yeah, I did not hear that it's going out every summer for the last several years. So I have no problem with making a motion to send it up to budget but then, you know, decide.
And in the meantime, I'll get the manufacturer and see if I can get them out here, just as a second check. And John and I can visit with them and go through it.
And that 35 years you did pretty good.
Yeah.
So the reason, you know, the budget committee can look at this and say, if this is something that we could put a Band-Aid on so we're a little bit less out of debt and make this purchase next year, maybe we fix it one more time or whatever, but that's a budget decision. So that's why I'm making the most, we do send it up to budget.
Okay.
There's a motion on the floor
Yeah.
to approve it.
Oh, okay. Wait, what motion is on the floor right now?
I'll second motion to send it to budget.
Rick has a
I already have a motion on the floor, and it was just, my bad, yeah, approve, it was to approve this to move forward, so, which I think is what you're wanting to do.
Yes, and we have a second, Terry.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No, okay. All right, item C, I was hoping to have some quotations for new siding of the parapet wall. I don't have that yet, so I would like to move this item to next month when I can get,
Make a motion to.
The archives,
yeah. It's not leaking, but there is leaks that have developed in the parapet wall, so I have a motion, do I have a second? Second, all in favor?
Can we discuss this?
Oh, sure.
Could you just explain a little bit more about that?
Okay, maintenance was up there with the roofer 2 months ago, Terry, I think, and they had a few small patches to take care of. They did. It hasn't leaked since. But we know there are a couple of the problems up there. There's a vertical parapet wall and then a mansard roof that goes to the outside. That has very distorted and damaged vinyl siding on it. And so I want to get a price, a reference price on new siding of different sorts. The other thing we can do is we can put an EPDM, which is the same as the roof material, on that vertical siding. It'll hold, it'll keep everything waterproof. It would be, I won't know till the numbers come in, cost-wise, if it makes more sense or not. There would be some repairs to the sheet metal top, and at the same time, we will want to discuss removing the handrail, which is in pretty bad shape and may not be worth repairing. And that will probably be an issue that will ultimately go to the commission. There are various opinions on that, but what I'm hearing most would say, let's get rid of the handrail.
Fake rail around the roof?
Yeah, fake rail around the roof.
Really just decorative.
It's totally decorative, and it's in really rough shape. You know, I would invite any of you to go up there and take a look at it. Terry and I have seen it several times. So, anyway, that's the long and short of what's going on up there. But, you know, the truth is that we had a recommendation, a report that said we should spend about $450,000 replacing everything up there, except the siding on the vertical walls. And from what Terry and I could tell, that was the biggest problem. And so, I think doing this due diligence at this point, especially since it's not leaking at the moment, makes a lot of sense, and we can save the county a lot of money if we do that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So, I agree with what you're saying. That roof still has 5 to 6 years left of warranty on it. That's not counting life.
Right.
So, to fix that area, I've gotten an estimate to fix that area, about $47,000, $48,000.
Which area is
To
it?
fix the siding, which you talked about,
Okay.
from the gentleman that you talked to.
Oh, okay.
Now, that doesn't count.
EPDM, he was.
Right.
Okay.
That doesn't count removing the railings, which I agree with. I think they're leak points and being decorative, and I think we'll spend a lot of money trying to renovate them. If y'all looked at them, you don't have to climb up on the roof to see those rails. They're pretty ugly. So if we remove those, that would be more. That's gonna put us over the $50,000 mark. So, you know, I think, in my opinion, I don't think it's gonna hit anywhere near $450,000.
Right.
But it will be over $50,000. What I'd like to see us do is start this process to get that fixed. Because once you start it, it's gonna take a couple months, and we're getting into the rainy season, the wind season, and that's where those leaks are gonna come in when they start hitting that siding. If we can start that process, then I can get the engineer out here to draw it up like they're supposed to, bring that back to you with the options, knowing that our goal is to keep this roof and have a maintenance program on it to make sure it stays in good shape, goes well past the 5 years, 6 years. And then get all that siding fixed that we all agree needs to be fixed, and get the railings off, which we all agree needs to come off.
Okay.
But at some point, I'd like to start that process. And what I'd like to see is that money was appropriated in the last budget, but I'd like to see us roll it over to this budget, which would be a budget committee decision.
Okay.
And we can at least start it, and that gives us something to discuss.
Okay, I thought it was still in the budget. So-
No, sir, it'd have to be rolled over by the budget committee.
Okay. Jones?
Mr. Mayor, the warranty that you spoke of that's still out there, does that give us any type of credit towards fix, or?
No, but what it would do is, it would void the warranty if we just put it out for bid and accept any bid, but if we scope it to require them to be a Firestone dealer, then we can keep the warranty on it going, and then we'll have the same product that's going on there.
So it's warranty in the product, not
Right.
in the workmanship of it.
Right.
Mr. Wade?
Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes.
What is the motion?
What is the motion?
I think we'll move it to next one.
Oh, just move it to next one.
Yeah, we second it, so we can discuss it.
That's right. Can we amend the motion? Oh, I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay.
Just to move forward, we're starting the architectural process to get this moving, give us information for next time, so we'll know what we want to do. How do we move forward?
Is that something we can do, with you just bid?
Well, you need to close out this motion. You need to either vote it up or down to move it to next month. If you vote no, then we're back to the drawing board. And then you can say, I make a motion that we move it on to budget, because I'll have to ask budget for the money. Because I can't do anything until I have that money rolled over and accrued.
Okay, let me make a point, though. The problem's not the roof, the problem is the parapet wall.
Well, I'm speaking of it in its totality.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and that actual roof part, yes, I don't think that needs to be replaced.
Yeah, it's in good shape now. Yeah. So the motion.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yep.
That now, so the 47 to 48,000 fixed is just the siding?
Well, but it's an EP, it's the same material that's on the roof, it's not the only way we can go. we could put siding back up, and that's what I wanted to get a price on, is actual siding, and we can...
If I wrote 4748 for the siding fix, so you're talking about the material that's going on the roof would go on the side?
Would go up to the siding, because that's what we had talked about.
Yeah.
That would be a better fit, because it would give seamless up to that ridge cap at the top there.
Yeah, it might be a better fix. I wanted to look at the siding because it may be just as good a fix, and maybe less money, maybe more money. I just don't know until I get a guy up there to give us a price. And that's,
So you think we need a separate quote to see if the siding can be fixed, and just going forward to go with?
right, that's what I think, and I think we've got time to do it, but...
So we'll move it to next month, we'll be okay.
We-
Another earth shatter.
I
Get the quote, and then it can go there.
So it's gonna be after the rainy season before we start working on it.
Is there a ring?
Well, I mean, who knows, April, May.
Fixing to start it, yeah.
Yeah,
So is there anything we can do to start both processes now, like the mayor's asking for?
You got to
To
figure out
get the
which
quote?
direction you're gonna go. You're gonna go with...
No, get both quotes.
that's what I wanted to do, was get the other quote. I just didn't get it for this meeting, or we would have been able to clearly make a decision, at this meeting, and so that's why I wanted to move it.
How long do you think it'll take you to get the quote?
I think we can have it in maybe a week,
Is it possible to do a
special
meeting next Monday, since most of us are gonna be here for budget or legislative, where we can do a quick decision on this to proceed?
If I can get a quote, and I will really try and get a quote, we could do that. So,
Before you amend that motion
to
that?
rather than postpone it a month.
Yeah.
I have a question. We can postpone it a month, and then if you get the quote, then hold a special call meeting.
Okay, fair enough.
So keep the motion the same, and maybe just get a quote right now.
Yeah, because you don't know how long it's gonna take, and then you call us, and then if you call the meeting Monday, then you don't have the quote, and
I
then...
would really like to try to get that done.
Yeah.
Like, because I agree, there is a rainy season here. If there is, fall and spring is just torrential.
It's just been going on the last few days, every contract.
Yeah, every contract is backed up.
It's going back up anyway, so your motion, Rich's motion, to wait a month, for the next month.
Yeah.
And if you can get the quote, then we can do it.
Yeah, I know the ATDM is expensive material, so that's why I wanted to look at it both ways. So the motion is still on the table, we do have a second. Is there any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. No? No. Two noes.
Well, no.
Yes. Okay. And now discuss moving the maintenance crew into the PRC or another building in the country, in the county. Could we have a motion on the floor to open discussion?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? In all the discussion about the PRC, the only non-controversial issue is that the maintenance guys are gonna move there. I personally think we ought to just bite the bullet and do it. Commissioner Witt?
How much square footage do the maintenance folks need?
How much what?
Square footage, what footprint do they need?
Well, if we move forward on this, we are going to generate a floor plan that will be efficient. Right now, we're thinking 5,000 to 6,000 out of that 18,000 square foot building. Not a ton of space, but they need to be out of the basement. We've been warned.
So I'll make a motion to approve the move over there and give them up to 8,000 square feet of that building.
I'll say.
Second,
Can we discuss?
Absolutely.
The building we tabled, that 4.5 million when we first came into the commission, what square footage was that?
That was going to be 18,000 ground and another 1,800 mezzanine for the maintenance guys. So it's gonna be almost 20,000 square feet.
Did they, is there any way possible they needed anything close to that?
I think.
We're down to a third the size?
There's the chief of that department, he says no.
That was also the vehicle maintenance.
They were basically gonna split the building half-half, and that's why we stopped it, because, you know, none of us here at this table had anything to do with that decision. And it didn't make a lot of sense. We still need covered parking that has got heating over there to take care of the medicine in the ambulances that we need to park inside. So we will need some of that money.
Yeah, I was going to the heart of what Commissioner Wynn was also saying, that I want to make sure that they have enough. I don't know that we need to put limits on them yet, but I want to make sure that they have enough, but we need to get it rolling.
What I'd like to do is get it rolling. I told the guys today that we would come up with a floor plan that made sense, and then bring it back.
I think as long as we look at what Commissioner Wynn said and go with up to a certain amount, we'll be okay. If it could be 6, 7, could be 8. I'm okay with up to.
Is 8 enough? That's what I'm saying.
It may be less.
No, but it's 8, 9. You see what I'm saying? I don't know, they were gonna do 20,000 square feet.
Yeah. Well, and that's why
I ought to have the other drive too, but
these guys are not the kind of guys who need to be swimming in space.
Okay.
And like I said, we would come up with a floor plan and bring it back to this committee, and then we could do a finalized. I'm hoping for a budget and a floor plan that we can send on to the budget committee so that they don't have any work to do. That's what I would like to see done.
okay. I mean, I'm okay with this.
Okay. So, do we have a motion and a second? We do have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, just procedural. Are you putting together a floor plan and the budget to move on to budget committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, so now that we know that we're gonna put in the maintenance committee, we'll go back to the election commission. Do we need to open for discussion again?
I got a motion, I'll make a motion.
Okay, make the motion.
I want to make a motion to approve the excavation and move over to TRC building with the remaining space that's not used by maintenance.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? That's bills for lack of a second. That's right.
Mr. Chairman, really, so I get weary of talking and want to take action, and so forgive me for what I'm saying, but I'm not even a member of this committee. But I want to make an observation here. One is, we can either say yes, no, or maybe. And maybe is not acceptable, because they need to know something, one way or the other. And we need to do it tonight. We have put it off several months. We need to go ahead and bite the bullet and do something in regard to this issue. Now, this is what I'm thinking about. As I have observed a lot of space and buildings in this county, we have a tremendous amount of needs. Not just the election commission, not just maintenance. We have other needs, and as fast as this county is growing, we will still have even more. So we cannot be overly generous with our space. We have to do this very cautiously, or we'll end up building another building like the monster-sized building on the public square. my suggestion. That the election commission will stay where they are. That I think there is adequate space in the basement for the machines, perhaps not all of the other totes and things that they have that we can find space for, but they could be down there in a secure area. We need to look at some other things. I have some ideas and some thoughts on space. This building, the TRC building, is absolutely enormous. It is enormous. If you have not been over there, you need to, because some of us have. You could put the second floor of this courthouse in that building over there. We need to look to do that, and we'll start planning so they can operate for an election. You do not want to be sitting here and being accused of impeding an election process. Later, we can look at space, all of the space, and make a suggestion on some additional, or even moving the election commission. But I don't see it being in the TRC building. It shouldn't be in the TRC building. But there will be some other space available that is much larger to serve the election commission. And if we don't move on this tonight and put it to bed, then the only thing I know is I'm going to say, I told you so.
I'll make a motion to keep them where they're at.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? Commissioner Wynn?
I just, from what I'm hearing, I just don't think it was this here. You know, we've talked about an extra 500, somewhere around 500 for the maintenance area. And we've all been in that, essentially it's a mechanical closet. It's just not a fit place to store anything, much less work. You know, we're gonna have to pour money into that space if we're gonna try to make it secure, number one. And then by doing that, it's less square footage than even 500. I don't know, it's more like a generous broom closet. That's, just because the mechanicals that are down there, they're gonna have to have access to them. For maintenance stuff. So we're down to, stated it was 2,700 square feet storage needed for the new machines. We said they got 1,000 square feet downstairs, so by rough math, about 700 square feet, 1,700 square feet short on storage.
I'm going to push back on you on something that I don't understand, and it comes down to this drawing. That if they're, and it's why I asked how many machines at the same time do they work on? Because if we use the basement, and they're packed like sardines, and they hold 4 or 8 or whatever they're working on, and they have room to set those up on a table, then move those into another room. This is ideal and optimum for them. It's not absolutely essential from my standpoint. So, because they're in a big rush, they got to get ready for election. What they're suggesting here, we can't get done in time for them, because we have to build a room within the room, and that's going to take time to design, it's going to take time to bid, it's going to take time to construct. We're 3, 4, 5 months down the road for all I know, whereas they can do it here right now. It's not optimum for them, but they can do it here right now. And so I agree with Mr. Hyde. I think we need to make the decision tonight and go with it. Ms. Ashton?
I just wanted to mention, we can get the machines down there, but we will not be able to stage the election. So, in other words, when they come the day before the election to pick up the machines, and they have totes and precinct cases and signage and all that, we will not have the room to stage the election down there. So you're talking about programming machines, that's just one element.
Right.
But when they go out, the precinct's all together, the officer comes in, They pick everything up, they load them into their vehicles or vans, and they go to their precinct and set up. We do not have room to do that. We will not, even with 500 square feet.
With that hallway with the double doors that go out to the side, we can't do that.
No, sir, I mean, there just won't be enough room to stay. At each precinct, we've got 29 right now, is sitting there, ready to be picked up. When it comes back in, it's all, you know, it's all together. And there's signage, and there's, again, two big bumblebee totes. There's the precinct case, and then the machines. You can take a larger precinct like Indian Lake is our biggest participation precinct. We've got 10 or 12 machines. You know, all that has to be together when the officer comes. We can't run into one room and get a machine, run into another room and get the tote. It's all sitting there, you know, together, so that when it's picked up, it goes out. So there's not enough room to stage the election down there. And that's
Probably doing that for how many years?
Yeah, how have you done it in the past?
well, the machines are a lot bigger now.
So they're like triple the size of the ones now?
Yes, basically. The other ones are about this high and this wide. And these are this high and this wide and this big.
The 1 foot by 2 foot, 3 feet tall.
Right. So we can get them in there, if that's what y'all want us to do, but we cannot stage an election out there. So if you guys want to, if it takes 4 or 5 months to build the room, that's fine, because, you know, our next election is March of 2024. So we've got time to build that room, and we can go in now, what Mayor Isabel and I had discussed, and what former Mayor Anthony Holt and I had discussed, was that would also free up our space, because I guess there are more demands in the building, that are, you know, for space for other departments, that would free all of that up. You actually can cut it into 2 completely separate departments, because there is a wall on that far one. Merrill and you yourself came by and saw that.
Yeah.
So that was going to free up that space for someone else, and then also then the full basement would be free. And then initially, we were going to move all of our stuff from archives up to the TRC, so that would free up all of that space. So we would be completely, all of that space would be free to that.
Okay, thank you.
So, well, it sounds like the room for staging an election. Can you explain the process of staging an election?
Sure. So, once the ballot is finalized, we send it up to the vendor. They send the ballot back. We program the machines. We load that ballot. Okay? So that goes on the machines. The machines are ready to go. The election commissioners, we go tapes to prove there's no votes on them. We put votes on them to make sure that you can see every candidate can get a vote.
I think.
Okay.
I wrote that I wasn't, like, staging the election starts the morning of, you're gonna tell all your employees we're staging today. It's about loading up the machines and programming the machines.
No, the machines are done. So the day before the election is when everybody picks up. So they have to pick up all of what I just
That's what I'm
described.
talking about.
Yes,
Staging the election consists of taking a machine, taking a tote, taking the things that go with it and doing what with it.
you put it all together,
Yeah.
so that when the officer comes by and they say, hey, I'm here with Indian Lake,
Yep.
we have loaders down there, they load that into their vehicles, and away they go with everything they need to run that precinct for that day. So we have 29 separate big piles, is basically what I'm saying.
So staging is getting groups of the polling centers,
All together and ready to go.
and that's for the day of, or the day
The day before, they pick up, some
and
set
the
up.
day that they bring them back also.
Correct, and we have to all be together on election night, because if we have any problems with a tape or anything that was run with the machine, we've got our technicians here, the microvote people here. If you know, we need to double check something, our counting board is here, so for our provisional, all of that has to be together.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So the main issue, we've been told now, is staging for the election. One day before, the day after it's done, the day it's done. So for 2 days, we need extra space.
And that's a year away.
We got time. We got time, but they need it by that time. We gotta figure out something by that time.
Right.
I just wanted to clarify that, and make sure I understood what staging meant. So,
Yeah. Okay. Good question.
I'm okay with the motion that's on the table, and second as is, to vote on that. Any other discussion?
Any other discussion? Commissioner?
In that time period while we're waiting, are we the expectation to have, are we gonna work with the election commission to try to figure that out?
Yes, we're going, as general ops, and I would invite anybody who wants to go, we're trying to assess buildings, and like I said, we've been doing catch can. If we want to do it on a Saturday and do a tour, then we just need to get keys from the mayor and go look and discuss. I don't think this violates any sunshine law.
You talking about for?
If we're just-
To review properties, I don't think so, yeah.
Commissioner Jones?
No.
Any other questions? All right, the motion is to keep it here. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We have one more item on the agenda.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Sorry to the, Toby, sorry. Sorry we ran